What's up, guys, and welcome back to the doctor's office. I am Dr. K. Ray Knight, here to give you a proper diagnosis and prognosis and everything comics and comic book characters. Spooky season week, right? The week of Halloween, and I want to give you guys some horror books. So, first we have the newly released Alien Romulus. Now, if you have not seen Alien Romulus, this may be a spoiler for you, so spoiler alert. So this is not a review for Alien Romulus the movie, just giving you guys a little bit of background. So at the beginning of Alien Romulus the movie, there was a scene where the ship had got an asteroid, which was essentially an egg out of space, grabbed it, brought it in, and some scientists in the beginning of it started working on it. And that's where it then cuts to the actual movie, where we see that those scientists that were working on it and a lot of people that were on this ship, the Romulus and the Remus, were killed, put in cocoons. They had face huggers popping out of their chests and everything. So, they had aliens popping out of their chests as a result of the face huggers. And the ship was preoccupied prior to our main group of characters coming onto the ship. Okay? So this Alien Romulus comic book is what happened from the beginning, where they picked that asteroid out of space, or that egg out of space, to where it cut and goes into the actual story. So this is that small part, which I think is so cool. Now, another thing that should be noted is this ship is divided into two halves, Romulus and Remus. So currently we are in the Remus portion of this story, where they have brought the asteroid egg into their ship and they crack it open, and there is a alien inside of it. So there is a xenomorph in there, but they are saying that the xenomorph is actually dead. But Rook, who is a synthoid, actually knows that it's not dead, but it is in stasis. And it will continue to stay in stasis as long as they keep it in stasis. Now, on this ship, there are two security officers, Hyla and Adrian. And Hyla has been through a lot of things, as in she's seen this before, essentially. And she is already panicking because she says that the xenomorph is going to wake up. And Adrian is trying to get her to chill out and calm down while the scientists are running their experiments. Now, Rook, the synthoid, is part of the Wayland company, and he is doing something for the company specifically, and he uses the acid blood that the xenomorph has for an experiment. And this experiment is for the company to make advancements in science and medicine and things like that. So all of the scientists and Rook are on the same page, but they are keeping it away from the officers and the security officers that are there. So they're not really revealing any information about the experiment. Now, it seems that they're all on the same page when it comes to the experiment, but I do believe that Rook has an underlying thing that he's also doing. Now, while they are retrieving the acid blood from this stasis xenomorph, its arm does move, but Rook assures them that they are in control of the situation because it's like a reflex, essentially, and that it's still not awake or alive. Hyla is going through like a PTSD moment, and again, she's been through things like this before, so she's talking to Adrian about how she even came to be there when she was with, I think, like Space Marines or cadets or whatever, space officers, whoever she was with. They ended up going up against face huggers, killed her squad, and she ended up losing an eye because she is wearing an eye patch. So, she was like, and at the end of the day, they ended up putting me on this boring ass security job thing. And Adrian's like, you never told me that. And she's like, well, you didn't really ask. So they do end up devising a plan where they're going to wait for Rook and all of the other scientists to be away from the xenomorph so that they can detach it from the rig and then send it out into space where it rightfully belongs. This is an absolutely fabulous plan up until it's not. So I'm sure she's going to do her best. Now, days later, they're still running their experiments, and Rook is giving the rundown about how this all happens. And he's talking, because he's, doing his experiments now on the facehuggers, and he talks about how the facehuggers will attack a human, and they will implant a seed impregnating the human host, and they contain an accelerant which accelerates the growth within the human host to hatch the alien from the seed that they have planted in them. And he just sees this as absolutely fascinating. Now, they are trying to do two things in two different labs, so they have decided to leave a skeleton crew at the Remus lab, and then the main people go to the Romulus lab. And while they are discussing these things, and Rook is talking about how his research doesn't need to be interrupted or anything like that, Hyla and Adrian sneak into the lab. Now, Adrian and Hyla do share a kiss, and she decides to go into the cryo chamber while he is detaching the alien from the rig so that they can send it off into space. And when she gets into the cryo chamber, she sees that they are synthesizing alien parasites, aka the facehuggers. They're just creating more. And she's like, too bad their experiment failed, and she busts open the liquid containing a lot of them, which is how the liquid gets on the floor inside of the movie. Okay, now here's where we are in danger. While he has detached this xenomorph from the rig, it has woken up because it is not in a cryostasis form anymore. And it has busted out of hibernation, essentially. And it kills Adrian, slashing his face up. And when she comes back after she hears Adrian scream, she sees that he's dead, and the alien is tailing it out of there, so she's opening fire. So Rook comes in there hooping and hollering about, oh my god, what have you done? And she was like, I was trying to get the fuck out of here before it woke up. And she was like, Rook was like, well, you reanimated it when you detached it from the rig. So she was like, well, whatever came out of it went in there. So he then decides to call the Romulus lab and have them go ahead with the trials for the compound that they were creating, in which they were testing it on rats. And he's like so close to whatever goal he was trying to accomplish, which is what he says in the movie. Now, she ends up going off on Rook for his obvious lack for the lost life of Adrian and the danger that everybody is in on the ship. So he then says, we actually need to protect the young. Sir, no, we don't. I promise you we don't. So as they're doing that, and the scientists are going from the Remus lab to the Romulus lab, the ones who were left, the skeleton crew who was left in the Remus area, they're going to the Romulus area, but they end up getting attacked by the xenomorph that has just been let loose. And as they're being attacked and they're running towards the elevator, Matos, who is like the lead scientist of them, I believe, he closes the elevator as they're trying to get into it, and the xenomorph opens up some of the facehuggers and they attack all of the people who are there. Now, the area they are in, I do believe if you watch the movie, that is the area where the three main people who are still alive have to cross, and it's full of facehuggers. So I think that is that area because all of those facehuggers are still in there. So, Hyla and Rook end up running into Matos, who's like explaining to them what's going on and freaking out and panicking. Is like, that thing is back there. He ends up getting captured and killed by it. And they end up running. Rook is also trying to get a status from Mother about what's going on with the ship and the experiment and all that stuff. So they're running and they get to an area where they are confronted with the xenomorph. Now, when they are confronted by the xenomorph, it does tear Rook in half, and it does attack Hyla, but she is able to shoot it. Now, he does say that she does not need to shoot it because of its acid blood, and it could open up a pocket, and they could all end up flying out. So while she is fighting that thing, and she shoots the crap out of it, and a hole opens up and they start getting thrown out into space. I believe the xenomorph does get thrown out into space. She is calling for Rook to the space station, and he's not doing it. He's still concerned about this experiment. He's actually looking on the screen and looking at the experiment. He finally does seal away, but she has already been tossed out into space. So she ends up dying in space. His body is near a hole that has been put in the spaceship due to the acid, and the mouse that they were experimenting on is shown on the screen, still normal. If you do watch the movie, you will see that the experiment did fail because a facehugger did come out of threat for the mouse. Now, how are we feeling about this? I think this is absolutely fabulous. The artwork looks great. The story definitely ties into what's going on with the movie. And it gives quite a bit of insight because, again, if you've seen the movie, it literally skips from when they bring that rock into their ship to the ship is abandoned, and like you could tell that something happened, and obviously things have happened because there are xenomorphs everywhere that had been hatched from the people who the facehuggers attacked initially, and there are facehuggers that are still there and everything. So this was a great insight, and I don't think that we've really seen this before in comic book form. From what I can remember, something just being the explanation of how we got from point A to point B. So I think that that's fun. If we've seen that before, please let me know because I don't remember. But I thought this was a really, really fun read. The story was great, and it really captured the essence of the Rook character from the movie. So I was definitely glad that they did this. The blood, the killing of the scientist by the xenomorph, just chef's kiss. 10 out of 10 on this one because I definitely loved the movie. If you have not seen the movie, I 110% recommend watching it because it is absolutely fabulous. But that is it for this episode of The Doctor's Office, and I will see you guys at your next checkup. Happy Halloween.